Today was event rich, just to note this. So, as for first period, I don't have much to note here. I came way late to class, and we did another Spanish assignment regarding preterite tense, and it was all of the basic stuff that you'd always do, especially in past tense when I was able to finish it right on time. Though past tense preterite is a little bit difficult, though I always prefer haber plus past participle instead, but not much to note here. Now, for second period, I did 2 laps around PE in 12 minutes, and later on, I decided to take a little move around. The same two girls that tend to be annoying sometimes came up to me and told me, got me into some sort of informational drama that's been going on. Apparently, the kid near me doesn't like being called a certain word by some other girl nearby, and that he wants to stop the conflict. But those two different girls gave terrible advice, such as quote unquote beat her up or make her learn a lesson, quote unquote. The boy and I, like Jack and Ruff as allies from Lord of the Flies, said that we should not retaliate when it doesn't solve and it doesn't even solve the situation in the first place. They gave an even worse solution: make them mad so they hit you first, quote unquote. And I said, that's a fool's thinking like they're genius. I said, like, that's the type of thinking that confuses Epstein with Einstein. Just to leave it like that. And if there is escalation, there's stuff that's going to happen, and we don't want that. We need to solve situations civilly. So what's been going on here is that apparently my boy, as I said, don't like being called a certain word, and they want to fix those issues up. But the solutions that they were saying was kind of terrible in my opinion. But as for me, though, we are declaring non-aggression neutrality. As per the Article 3 of December 7th, 2025, we will not be participating in this geo-friendship conflict that's going on. As for the rest of the period, I ended up playing with a tennis ball out of all of the things I could be playing with. Third period, we did more notes about water regarding fresh water available versus seawater that's also available, and each time that takes for it to be filtered out and bottled. Of course, during the notes, I tried to answer and incorporate the number 6-7, but the teacher called me out saying that we'll have an opportunity for it later. I tried using like if 6% of water, quote unquote, but the teacher stopped as I was submitting like the response question in the notes, and he said, quote unquote, you really try, and everybody had a laugh though. We watched some video about how water supply sucks a lot of things out, leaving not much left for use for personal care, especially when we see that a lot of companies use up the water supply a lot, especially with people. Some boys twisted this video about this water infomercial, and they're being a little loud. So the teacher asked them, and they said, quote unquote, we were asking how things suck, quote unquote, which is an allusion to something that is very dirty. But other than that, as for fourth period, we have just started our first battle on the sophomore project. This one is in regards to our first time we just did the small steps. So what we're gonna do now here is that we've done all the basic stuff. We've done a Padlet assignment for it. It's the first grade that we're gonna get. But I asked the teacher if we could have one of the boards since I'm not in a good position to buy anything right now. But he said for us to wait. I asked if he could upload like the dimensions of the board online so we could buy it later on, but I'm not sure about that. He told us to kind of wait for a little bit and hold it off. This is a requirement in my school that we have to do it for all people in grade 10, so we can't really do anything about it. But the first part of the assignment is done, so it's good, but more is along the way. We don't win battles by winning the first battle. There's a lot more coming. Topic I chose was a Battle of Marne in World War One, the first battle, and credit to my partner along the way. As for lunch period, this was all Jesus Club, and the lesson that I learned is pretty interesting. Jesus Club applications are open, so I might apply sometime later. But I did kind of hesitate before it started because I wanted to talk to a member of an old friend group, and I felt kind of sad because they sat a little bit secluded, to just leave it like that. I wish I did something or sat next to them, but honestly, like my internal systems are hesitating way too much. So that hesitation time, as I'm always saying, just eliminates the time that I get to actually do some things because the preacher eventually took over and we all were frozen in our own seats. As for the lesson though, they said about John 14:6. It was our Bible verse of the day, and we also did our daily slogan for Jesus Club, as we'd always do. Now, a scenario the preacher described to us today is that he has 3 different experiences that he's experienced in his life. He said what happened with his football career. He felt like he was on cloud 9 right before senior year and how he was all ready for it. What I remember apparently is that they didn't allow him to play in a sport because of some administrative reason, and he himself even held a grudge toward them before at the end of senior year of high school, but eventually he had to go. He even said to us he even had a relationship with a girl whom he had similar struggles with later on as an adult. He knew that it had to be his wife. He said that they invited God in. They said that they did it wrong by not inviting him first, and then eventually the relationship broke apart. But I think it oversimplifies a little bit of the relationship dynamics that are going on. But as I said, we're not going to make things into a duck hunt. Now, his entire career was uprooted, even at his local place. Then, even years later, and when he went to go work with the same people I believe in his parish, he had many brothers and a lot of people to trust, and even a good position too. But the thing is that he got uprooted from his place and he had to go move elsewhere once again. What he practically meant here is that when we add God to things, or when things naturally break apart as a part of life, but we had a little bit of a different purpose later on. In the struggle, the preacher taught us that we should trust God. And I really began to shake though when the preacher said for us to imagine like 3 scenarios where we feel unaccepted or saddened. And because I think when I was shaking, what if the person near me is using the past conflict that happened between me and their group? And what if I get painted as a bad person? And I know this is far fetched. In reality, this is probably something different. But I was kind of shaken in the moment at that point. But I hope not though. But what he taught us here, the preacher, was that we should fight for God's glory. He said that we simply do not grow within our own comfort zone. We grow outside of our comfort zone. We grow with Jesus. We grow with others. And with that one person, I won't name them on good faith as we were dismissed from Jesus Club, but I did fix things later on with them. But unironically, right before fifth period, though, I tried to find someone who I'd usually speak to regarding other things in the past. I spent like 6 to 7 minutes of passing period to try to find them downstairs, but I gave up and I went upstairs and I said, quote unquote, damn, they came before me, or they were probably absent today this time. And unironically, right after Jesus Club, I got late to class. Out of all the people that would always come late today to fifth period, today, by school definition, we were late. But we were all excused because the teacher was coming straight out of the club, so we had a little bit of time. But now, as for fifth period, we watched Lord of the Flies movie, the 1963 black and white version. A mini event that I asked is that if the teacher had captions for the movie, and she turned it on when I asked, even though I should not mention that at all because that's unimportant. But an interesting moment is that as Jack hunted the pigs and they went to roast the pig, the teacher said, "Wow, such a skinny pig." But as for the movie experience, even though I definitely found that kind of weird too, because that pig is a little thin, and it's probably not actually hunted in real life, at least in the movie, because they were probably actually eating from a cooked pig. But I was surprised in the movie though is that wow, this is going way too fast in the novel's version. I've already finished with more than half of the movie time and the plot, and it's already less than 41 minutes left. But like the movie plot in the novel, that thing takes like a millennia just to read and finish up. And the difference between the book and the movie, it's just crazy. But we did get the same events. I mean, Ralph is chosen as chief, Jack is a tribe leader for his choir, and the characters introduce themselves like, my name's Piggy, my name's Roger, I'm a little one, I'm Maurice, I'm Sam and Eric, all this stuff. But what I do find odd is that they managed to layer plane crashing footage with the actual movie itself, though there wasn't an actual plane crash at all. And also, I found it interesting in the Cambridge scene where Piggy made a cool thing about commoners in Britain, and how commoners back then confused Cambridge town with Cambridge, and how they eventually changed their name. I found that interesting because I did not see a mention of that in the book at all. At least I don't even know if they mentioned it at all. So it's a cool little lesson as he was talking to the little ones nearby. Basically, though, the boys in my class did incessantly laugh during the movie, and the teacher did threaten punishment, though nothing was given. One thing I do remember and do wonder about alternate timelines about Lord of the Flies is that what if all of the tribesmen, from the choir to the little ones, all had weapons? What if Ralph's tribe also had weapons too? All of them had a submachine gun. The little ones had a pistol. Like, everybody's got ammo. Everybody's got survival kits they got from the plane. I wonder how would it go at that point. Like that's an armed militia. You got a lot of people who are armed. Let's say that the plane they were going in was armed. I wonder how that would be, in my opinion. Would the descent to savagery be fall much faster, or would people be more order? Is what I'm curious about. Or a less far fetched one is that what if the plane that they were signaling for as the fire was out? What if the plane actually landed, but that plane was Axis powers and not Allied powers coming to rescue them? I wonder what would happen in this ending. Is what I'm curious about. What if Jack's tribe and them decide to unite together to try to fight off the Axis powers, even though they may not have power as they do? Or what if they just run anyway? So I wonder what would happen. Anyway, so credit goes to Aiden, one of the door holders that hold it down for everyone here. I had him like a share of chips along the way because today I ate like a bag of chips that I was bringing with me. So big credit to you. This was going from the transition to fifth to sixth period. But as for sixth period math, we had a substitute teacher today, and I finished up a review regarding a plus bi and how to multiply imaginary numbers. But mostly great, and we used quadratic formula to solve a lot of them. As for my friends, they all had crazy moments today. And they were pretty funny, yet also really disgusting at the same time. Of course, it was about Melanie this time, and they said to me, quote unquote, he tried to kiss me one time, quote unquote. Another disgusting thing that they showed to me is that they showed a eraser shaped sausage and a parabola hollow shaped eraser to show penetration, to show that their friend likes Melanie a lot. And a fake Roblox character, and like I was surprised that he even showed that in front of me. I'm like, oh my god, that is some crazy stuff that you're doing right now. Like, oh my god. But anyways, oh, my chair's broken here, excuse me guys. But has he showed me another thing in his Chromebook to kind of calm down the disgusting things that are going on? I exited out of the site as he showed me like this display of what he was showing me. That's repetitive. But after that, I went to Desmos to annoy him, and then I input the equation x squared minus 13x plus 42 to annoy him, and we all had a very funny laugh that was super, not awkward, but very tense. When you solve for x, the solutions are 6 or 7. And of course, at the end, I agreed to make it formal, to quote unquote repatriate my friend's calculator pen and my other friend's eraser back to them by tomorrow. They are being at what I call my detention center in the capital city of my bedroom on a plate where their lost and found items are, and they will be deported back to their capital city of their bedroom and in their own pencil pouches because this belongs to them. And I'm making this funny because in reality, I'm just returning some lost things that they decide to forget and I decide to keep in a detention center, which is practically my old bedroom. But I make it extra formal just to make it historically funny. But I'll make another video about that, to be honest.